Hello and welcome. Today we'll learn about different type of forces. Forces are everywhere and very important in our life. Let's start. First, let's talk about weight. Weight is the force of gravity pulling on an object. The agent for weight force is the entire Earth. The Earth pulls on every object with gravity. The direction of the weight force is always vertically downward. The equation for weight is W is equals to mg, where W is the weight, m is the mass of the object, and g is the acceleration due to gravity. This picture shows weight. The arrow points down because the gravity pulled down. Even if the object is on a slope, the weight still points down. Next is tension. Tension is the force in a string, rope, or wire when it pulls something. The agent for tension force is the string, rope, or wire itself. The direction of tension is always along the string, away from the object. An interesting fact about tension is that it remains the same at all points in the ropes. This picture shows tension. The arrow shows the force going along the rope. Now, let's look at normal force. Normal force is the support force from a surface. The agent for normal force is the surface that the object is resting on. The direction of normal force is always perpendicular to the surface. This picture shows the normal force. The arrow points up perpendicular to the surface. Even on a slope, the normal force is always perpendicular to the surface. Friction force is a force that stops things from sliding. It depends on how rough the surface is. The agent for friction is the rough surface in contact with the object. Friction is directly proportional to the normal force. There are two types of friction: static friction and kinetic friction. Static friction opposes the impending relative motion between two objects. Kinetic friction opposes the relative sliding motion that thus occurs. Static friction stops things from starting to move. To find its direction, imagine where the object would go if there was no friction. Static friction goes the opposite way. The agent for static friction is the rough surface that prevents the object from moving. This picture shows static frictions. The arrow shows the force stopping the object from moving. Kinetic friction stops things that are already moving. It goes the opposite way of motion. The agent for kinetic friction is the rough surface that slows down the moving object. This picture shows the kinetic friction. The arrow shows the force slowing down the moving object. Finally, we have external forces. An external force is a push or pull on an object. The agent for external force can vary, as it depends on the scenario described. The direction of external forces is usually specified in the problem. For example, if a 500 Newton force pushes a box, the force acts in that direction. This picture shows an external force. The arrow shows the direction and size of the force.